Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, the United Nations has condemned the recent clashes in Kidal town of Mali between forces of the Platform Movement and the Coordination of Movements of Azawad, both of which are signatories to the country's peace agreement. The fighting, which erupted on the 21st and 22nd of July between the two armed groups, is the first violation of the ceasefire since September 2015. As a result, the UN mission in Mali, that's also known as MINUMSA, has deployed more than 90% of its military personnel and police in the north of the country to ensure the safety of civilians. In South Sudan, millions of people are struggling to feed themselves as years of conflict take their toll on the economy. Sadly, but without surprise, children continue to be most seriously affected, with a sharp increase in the number of those being treated for malnutrition.
Millions of people in South Sudan are struggling to feed themselves as years of conflict take their toll on the economy. Children continue to be most seriously affected, with a sharp increase in the number being treated for malnutrition. A recent survey warns that more than a third of South Sudan's population, 4.8 million people, are facing severe food shortage. Malnutrition rates in 7 of the country's 10 states have reached the emergency threshold, according to UNICEF estimates, meaning that more than 15% of the population is malnourished. In some areas, it has reached 33%.
We can already see the impact of the crisis in terms of the rates of malnutrition. We are seeing increase in the admission rates.
Before the fighting that shook South Sudan's capital, Juba, last month, staff at the Al-Saba Children's Hospital were admitting about 30 children a day for the treatment of malnutrition. Today, the number often surpasses 80.
The general situation is people are worried there is no food in the country.
Dr. Rita Charles works in the hospital's nutrition ward. She says the recent conflict has made it more difficult for people to cope.
Insecurity have playing a role because in the past some people can go outside of Juba, they can farm for their own, they can help, but now you cannot move anymore.
Nearly 3 years of insecurity has fractured South Sudan's economy, and with inflation running at around 300%, basic food supplies are now too expensive for many families to treat the most critically ill children, much destined for Al-Saba.
Staying in South Sudan, but on a more optimistic note, a makeshift school with 7 classes has been opened at a UN compound in South Sudan's capital, Juba, where over 900 students now attend school after fighting displaced hundreds of civilians and killed at least 270 people last month.
Children displaced by conflict in South Sudan attend class at United Nations compound in Juba. The Friendship Nursery and Primary School is an initiative by volunteer teachers in the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, to help provide basic education for about 975 students in the midst of the conflict in the country. Rita John is among 40 teachers who are offering services at the makeshift school.
I want to teach these kids so that they come, some of them they come pilots, some of them they come doctors, then some of them even they will come a president so that they can lead us in South Sudan. Then I'm happy with them. I want to show them how to love themselves and how to sit in one place like brothers and sisters.
The most recent fighting in Juba has uprooted about 36,000 people who have sought shelter at the United Nations compound, and 14,900 are still displaced. The students have been learning on the trees or in the open for about a week now. Teaching aids like chalkboards have been donated, but teachers are calling on for more well-wishers to help put up proper structure that could shield the students from the sun and the rain.
We have now good number of people, but they don't benefit from those materials that are being brought. So we are looking forward and asking UNICEF and other education partners to provide us with some learning material, and also to construct a school so that the children may learn.
About 344 girls and 631 boys are currently enrolled at the school. An estimated 400,000 children have been forced out of school since 2013, according to UNICEF. And with social structures breaking down, children are also becoming vulnerable to violence and sexual abuses and exploitations. African leaders have called for the United Nations Security Council to authorize the deployment of a regional protection force to separate South Sudan's warring parties.
Well, you don't want to miss tomorrow's show for any reason. We're bringing back our Extraordinary Women segment. The Olympics begin as well. And, of course, our Africa Tech segment. Tune in tomorrow, and until then, thank you very much for watching. I'm Cynthia Are.